But what I noticed about, social media and stuff is that it's really not that social anymore. It's really just a media and marketing feed. The algorithms essentially control so much, and we're just spoon-fed a bunch of information every single day. And it's honestly just feels like information overload. That's just what it feels like. And most things on social media, most of what I see on the platforms, I'd say like 90% of it are things that I don't really even care about. What's up, guys? I'm Andy. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm just making these videos documenting my journey into getting closer with Jesus Christ. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about social media and why I quit it. So the first thing is honestly the phone use. So I could tell somewhere like 2 years ago, I could tell that the phone was really starting to affect the way I was thinking. And so what I did was I went to my phone, I turned off every push notification off. I hated the idea of knowing exactly when I would be getting a notification on my phone. It would just greatly distract me. Like a single notification would just make my eyes dart straight to my phone. And in that split second, I hated how it would just break my focus on whatever I was doing at the time. And so the only push notifications that I have on these days are honestly, it's like my chess app. So basically it'll just notify me when it's my turn to make my move. And other like Android system update things, and I think just the actual like getting a text are, I'm pretty sure, the only notifications on my phone right now. And I think it's been like that for a very long time, at least like a year and a half or something. When I open an app to check something, I now have to actually think about it. So I deleted all my social media earlier this year around, it's like March or April 2025. And it was just honestly a big distraction to me. I honestly never really cared about like what people were doing with their lives anyway, just being honest. And I can't even remember the last time I viewed someone's story or on Instagram or whatever, Messenger. I think Messenger they have stories now. Facebook, I don't even use this crap anymore. And what was annoying about the stories was the fact that there were like certain accounts are just way more active than others, right? And so when I wanted to view something that my friends were doing, it would basically get like, down the line, I have to scroll over like 15 accounts or something, because, the more active accounts are constantly going to be updated, like on Instagram, like on the top bar. You guys know what I'm talking about. So it was like kind of cumbersome. My friend would, I did this thing over the weekend, posted on my story. I don't know if you saw. And I'm like, I didn't actually. I didn't. And it was just because I probably just didn't scroll far enough on the top bar for me to even be able to see them. So that was a thing. So I had a Twitter account from, I think I made it around like 2016 or something. And then I deleted it earlier this year. And the only reason I got it was because I was part of a video game community, Super Smash Brothers, that they just decided to use Twitter of all things as sort of like a main community hub or whatever, just to get discussion going and stuff. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just, that's where everyone's talking, so I guess I'll just use it. And so at the time, I liked Twitter, back when it was called Twitter and not X. I liked Twitter at the time because I felt that it was a nice way to just like directly talk to people in the threads. I like the idea of being able to talk to people and message them directly without having to go through a friend request like you do in Facebook. Twitter back then was, for gaming community, was like, it was basically a lot of clips. It was like people would record their gameplay, they would record a clip of some highlight, whether it be some crazy moment, some crazy combo or something, and they would post it. So a lot of my timeline was like either, clips or salty tweets that, they got knocked out of a tournament and they're complaining about they're complaining about some character or something. But overall, like it wasn't a terrible time back then. I think back 2016, Twitter for a gaming community, I thought it wasn't terrible. I don't think it was like that bad, and it wasn't, it wasn't so politically charged like it is now. But yeah, back then I mostly just used it for gaming, and I wasn't really interested in any kind of like political talk or religious talk back then. I didn't have Jesus in my life, and so I mostly just used Twitter because it just kept me in that gaming sphere. That was kind of the platform everyone was using at the time, so I decided to use it. That was kind of it. What I didn't like about Twitter, though, was that the algorithm is not good. And what ends up happening, as I used it more throughout the years, I noticed that people's voices were essentially getting silenced because people with lower follower counts were not able to get viewed. It's as simple as that. So it's like basically people with more followers are going to naturally get more viewers because their followers are going to view the post, and because it gets more views, it's going to get pushed up higher, right? And so like I've seen a lot of really good discussion, a lot of really good points that people have made, and these are from accounts that don't have a lot of followers, and they just get kind of silenced. They like their whole post and the whole conversation just sort of gets muddled in the water, and it's just because it wasn't a big account. That's actually just it. And so it's kind of unfortunate. You have a lot of like, what ends up happening is that you have the big accounts end up actually dictating what the main discussions are going to be, like for the coming days or the week or whatever, because that's what everyone's going to see. You're not going to see the discussions that are being held by accounts that have like less than 50 followers or less than 100 followers or whatever it is, because there's just the view counter on it is so low. 2007, 2008, I think is when I made a Facebook account. Basically just a bunch of like college friends, like some loose connections with some high school friends or whatever. I don't even think about the platform. I think the marketplace is good. That's about it. I think some of the groups are good too. Some of the groups have like actually a lot of people in it. So if you're trying to grow, get visibility on things or whatever, market whatever you need to, I think it's not bad. I think Facebook Marketplace and groups are not bad. I think I stopped using Facebook consistently, I don't know, it must have been like 2017, 2018 or something. It's just kind of dead. I don't know. I don't think any of my friends really used it. And but what I noticed about social media and stuff is that it's really not that social anymore. It's really just a media and marketing feed. The algorithms essentially control so much, and we're just spoon-fed a bunch of information every single day, and it's honestly just feels like information overload. That's just what it feels like. And most things on social media, most of what I see on the platforms, I'd say like 90% of it are things that I don't really even care about. They're just sort of nice to know kind of things, but they don't really serve much purpose to me. Like, I'm not doing anything different in the day because I know that piece of information, It's a lot of garbage. Some pieces of information are actually like practically good to know, but I would say that even 5% of everything that I read on social media is like actually beneficial to me, and I might actually take action differently because I learned that information. It was just starting to clog up my whole mental space. I would sometimes just randomly think about a post that someone said on the feed on whatever platform, and even if I only had seen the post for a couple of seconds, that was enough. That was enough to potentially have me think about it later in the day for no reason. It just pops in my head again because it's just in your subconscious, right? Say toward the end of 2024 into early 2025, wasn't really even using the platforms really to interact with people. I felt kind of numb to it all, and a lot of things felt like engagement bait, kind of like validation seeking, or seeking some kind of like recognition from whatever accomplishment they did or whatever. And that's great, man. Like, I'm not trying to dismiss people's accomplishments, but it felt like people were kind of reaching, and it just felt fake. It felt like all I'm seeing are people's highlights. You know, like you could tell like that the bar was just constantly being raised and raised, where a lot of people don't want to post about their mundane lives because it's not exciting or very fun or whatever. And I completely understand, but guess what? Like, that's most people's lives. Most people's lives are boring. You know, not everyone's going on vacation every weekend. Not everyone is doing like exciting, fun things like all the time. I feel like people get kind of shy to that or something. Like it conditions people to think that what they want to post isn't post worthy. And I hate how this whole social construct gets created because of that, and I don't like it. Some people just use it to vent, and in which case I didn't really care to read that. I'm sorry, I just didn't really care. It's not that I didn't want to engage with them. Like, it's not like I didn't want to help them, but I can't really help them in that platform. Depends too. It depends on like what they were venting about, right? If I thought it was something silly, then I don't really care. If they were venting and complaining about other things, then I would rather be able to speak to them over the phone or actually get a better one-on-one with them so that we could actually like talk through it, you know? And I just feel like sometimes, even though you're posting something on social media to vent, it's like actually not the platform. I don't think the platform is conducive for us to be able to even talk it out. You know what I mean? You're presenting a problem, but then I can't give you a solution. I also just didn't like the idea that people were just able to look me up on the internet and get information on me. Seriously. And it's not like I had anything to hide. It's not like that. It's just whatever these kinds of posts that you're posting, it's just, they're not ever really completely representative to the people, like to the person themselves. And yeah, I mean, you could read a person's posts for the last month and get a pretty good idea of like maybe where their thoughts are, and you know, you get a reflection on like maybe who they are as a person a little bit. But the platforms are just also not really good for deeper discussion. I think text-based discussion, it gets kind of intention and tone and things like this kind of get lost in translation when we're just talking about text. So sometimes the platforms just don't facilitate good discussion. I honestly think that. TikTok recommending me accounts of my coworkers. When it comes to work, I do like to have a certain kind of line of separation, you know, like my coworkers and my kind of closer friends. You know, and as you exchange phone numbers with your coworkers, apps like TikTok they're gonna be like, hey, like, by the way, you could add your coworker, you could add this person in your contact list. And I'm like, I'm good. I mean, it's probably been 6 months or so since I've deleted all my social medias, and honestly, I don't even really think about it anymore. And I'm not really even keeping track of it either. It's just, these days, I just love having the clarity of mind that I can't even tell you in words how valuable that is. I like the idea of not knowing every little thing, and it actually brings me peace, and I really mean that. I know this sounds kind of weird, but I kind of like being oblivious to the world. I do try to stay up to date with current events, you know, with the crazy political climate that we're in these days, but it doesn't really feel like, because I don't know every little thing, it just feels like I'm a lot more focused, and I'm just not as like easily distracted, which I really, really like. I just love meeting people in person. I honestly, these days, I actually just value in-person interaction so much more. And one thing linked to that too is just going to my local church. I've been going to my local church for like maybe 2 months now. And I honestly, I actually love it. I really do. And I've met so many people in person, and I could just exchange contact with and face-to-face talk to somebody and not have to go through some friend request or some, some online thing where you're interacting through some monitor or some text or something. But it's like you can actually see them, in person, and it means so much. The only real kind of social media that I really use these days is actually Discord. I actually really like Discord. I'm big on Discord, and I guess like YouTube. I don't know if I consider YouTube like a social media, but I actually really like these kind of community building platforms. I think it's actually just best used for business. It's used for like brand building and things, and just marketing. I actually do want to make a TikTok for this channel. At the end of the day, it's just, the platforms are good for finding like-minded individuals, and I'm all for that. And if you actually got to the end of the video, thank you for listening to this whole thing. Thank you for listening to me yap about social media this whole time. I'll probably put a video on the screen now for you to have something else to watch, but that's about it, man. Yeah, thank you for watching again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.